Hi everybody, I'm Greg Fishel. Welcome to bonus weather video number 2 for this week. And I'm going to be talking about what the probability of precipitation actually means. There have been a number of surveys done that indicate that just about everybody has their own definition of this, and the official definition of it as defined by the National Weather Service is in many cases different than what people think. And I can remember as a child interpreting it a certain way, and then when I got to college finding out that, oh my gosh, was I wrong about that. So this is sort of going to be boring from a visual standpoint. It's a lot of text, but hopefully you can bear with me here, and we're just going to talk about some definitions and some examples. So let me put myself down here in the corner, and let's talk about the official definition of the probability of precipitation. It is the probability of measurable precipitation, which is defined as 1/100th of an inch or more at a specific point over a specific time period. It can be a 1-hour period. You know, I'm sure a lot of you look at your at apps on your phone, and it has probabilities hourly through the day. That may actually be beyond our capabilities, to be perfectly honest with you, but it looks pretty and looks exact, and so that's why it's there. But that's the official definition. So it does not tell you anything about the intensity of the precipitation. This is where I got misled as a child. If I got up in the morning before I went to school and it said 100% chance of rain or snow, the image I had in my mind was it's going to pour, and it's going to pour all day, and nothing could potentially be farther from the truth than that. So it tells you nothing about intensity. 30% doesn't mean light, 100% doesn't mean heavy. It does not tell you anything about the duration of the precipitation, okay? Especially when you're talking about longer time periods, like the probability of rain today over a 12-hour period is 80%. It can rain for 15 minutes and rain enough to measure, and the other 11 hours and 45 minutes are completely dry, but that forecast would verify, okay? So again, it doesn't tell you anything about how much of the day is going to be taken up, and it doesn't tell you anything about the percentage of the area that the rain will cover. Now, this can get a little confusing because the aerial coverage is part of how the probability is computed, but it's not all, okay? And I'll get into that in just a second. So the actual formula, or the equation, if you will, for the probability of precipitation is the forecaster confidence level times the expected aerial coverage. So the aerial coverage is part of the formula, but it's not all. And if the forecaster confidence level is low, then the aerial coverage could end up being much less than somebody potentially could interpret that probability. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of examples here. Let's say the forecaster has 50% confidence that there will be 80% aerial coverage during a specific time period. Let's say a 5-hour, 6-hour time period. So you take 50%, which is the confidence level, times 80%, which is the aerial coverage, and you get a 40% probability of precipitation. So he or she is looking at potentially a lot of aerial coverage, large aerial coverage, but the confidence level is low, and so that brings the probability of precipitation down. Now, case 2, let's say the forecaster has 80% confidence that there will be 50% aerial coverage during a specific time period. Well, you take 80 times 50, and you again get a 40% probability of precipitation. So it's the same pop, okay, but it is affected by the forecaster confidence level and the confidence level in what he or she thinks the aerial coverage will be, okay? And this, of course, the forecast confidence level, forecaster confidence level, is not something that is routinely talked about, okay? So I can certainly see how these two scenarios could be very confusing because you don't know what the confidence level in the forecaster is, which determines ultimately what the pop is. So same pop, but potentially different outcomes on how many people see precipitation. Now, here are 3 more examples, and we'll close after this. Let's say there's a 100% chance of rain from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and it rains 0.05 of an inch from 9 a.m. to noon at some location. That forecast would verify. It tells you nothing about the duration of the precipitation. It only rained 3 hours out of those 12. But there was a 100% chance that there would be measurable precipitation during that 12-hour period, and it happened. So that forecast is right. Now, same example, 100% chance of rain from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It rains 0.05 of an inch from 9 a.m. to noon at some location. The forecast verifies, but it tells you nothing about intensity, okay? 100% again might make you think that it's going to be a heavy rainfall event, but it only rained 0.05 of an inch and only for a 3-hour period. So the 100% tells you nothing about the intensity of the precipitation or the amount of the precipitation or the duration of the precipitation. And finally, a 30% chance of rain from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It rains 2.65 inches from 4 to 5 in some big thunderstorm that rolls through at some given location. So the 30% again tells you nothing about the potential amounts, okay? That's a gully washer, okay? 2.65 inches in just an hour's time. And if the forecaster is 100% confident that there's going to be, 30% aerial coverage, then that would turn out to be a 30% pop because it's 30 times 100, okay? So there's a lot of things that these probabilities don't tell you, okay? And it's important not to misinterpret those numbers because you could end up thinking something very, very different than what actually turns out. How many times have you heard in the summertime a 30% chance of an afternoon or evening thunderstorm, and it seems like a low number, and so you think, well, yeah, I can get my round of golf in or my round of tennis in or whatever, and then this big thunderstorm parks itself over you for an hour in the afternoon, and you're huddling underneath a tree on the golf course hoping that lightning doesn't hit the tree and end up having an adverse effect on your life. So it's, again, really important to think about all of these different scenarios and what these probabilities actually tell you as opposed to what your perception might be of what they tell you. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I hope you're probably more confused now than you were before, but I just felt like I needed to clarify that a given probability can mean very, very different things. All right, that's it for now, folks. That's bonus weather video number 2 for this week. Number 3 will be coming up Friday, and I hope you have a great Wednesday evening, and we'll talk to you soon. See you later, everybody.